Hello again, everyone. Edwin Warner back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Mercury sextile or trine the south node in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in a natal chart. They were a little bit concise. Some people may refer to them as snappy, so what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is, well, if you have either of these aspects in your natal chart, you may easily, be able to communicate and articulate, which is Mercury, matters connected with your past, which is the south node. Now, let's say, the south node is in Capricorn as an example. That past may be tied in. A lot of it could be business, career related matters, matters with trying to obtain some kind of structure or discipline or dealing with maybe authority. In some cases, it may have been connected with some Capricorn related field, whether it be construction or architecture, dentistry, accounting, information technology, masonry, carpentry, as some examples. Now, if the south node, say is an Aquarius, that past may be tied in with humanitarian, selfless, altruistic endeavors and actions. It may be associated with something Aquarius related, whether it could be astrology, astronomy, computers, electronics, innovation, meteorology, aviation, as some other examples. Now, you may also readily be able to put the mind, which is Mercury, on what you need to go away from, which is the south node. Now, let's say if the south node is in Virgo as an example, what you may need to get away from, it could be, overly cynical, critical, negative qualities, being overly judgmental. It could be in some cases even hypochondriac tendencies. I don't know if that word really applies, anymore, but you understand what I'm saying. It could be overly worrisome, issues. So, I mean, I have this aspect in my natal chart. I have, my Mercury making a sextile to my south node, and my south node is in Virgo. So, I understand a little something about this, this energy, specifically using the south node in Virgo as an example. Now, another thing about these aspects is that if there's, let's say, if there's any issues, okay, with the hands, the arms, nerves, lungs, or breathing, which is Mercury, they likely won't have as much, really, or at least much of an adverse effect on that south node, energy. As say if it was like the square or the opposition aspect. And the thing is, let's say if Mercury is in Aquarius, those issues, if you have any with the hands, arms, nerves, lungs, or breathing, may be more intermittent. They may be very sporadic and erratic. And as an example of that, and when I say the south node energy, I'm referring to things that you could be naturally proficient in. Excuse me, what may be emphasized in the first half of one's life, natural built-in abilities as some examples. Now, another thing about these aspects and how it may manifest in the natal chart, this also could be, really more, as far as the short journeys, it could be auspicious for short journeys, which is Mercury, to, those that are prominent in one's past, which is the south node. It could be places, that were prominent in your past that were nostalgic. It could be, people that you knew that played an integral role in your past. And when I say it's auspicious, as far as the short journeys, it's not just, it could simply be, little delays or diversions or distractions in terms of doing this, but also, what you may learn and pick up, from, these people that you visit, the places you go, where, maybe, for example, leads to something better in terms of your life, people giving you, say, insight into what you can do to improve your stature in life. As some examples, say, if Mercury is in Capricorn, it might be something where, those short journeys can be very, beneficial, to, as far as, matters with the career, stature in life and social status, as some examples. And also too, these aspects can also indicate, little difficulty in terms of thinking, which is Mercury, about the overdeveloped, redundant qualities that are connected with the South Node placement. And going back to the South Node in Virgo, which is what I have as an example, the overdeveloped, redundant qualities could be really overanalyzing things to the point where you can't even barely analyze it anymore. Again, like I've said in other videos, it's like almost like looking at the Dwad within a Dwad in an astrology placement. And let's say the South Node is in Aquarius as another example. That could, the overdeveloped, redundant qualities can be, just simply being, unconventional just for the sake of being unconventional, just for the sake of being unique, just to be unique, and then not really expressing it, naturally. It could be, some cases, it just might be overly bizarre, unusual behavior just in order to be different, as some examples. Now, another thing too about these aspects, if you have Mercury sextile or trine the South Node in a natal chart, it can also be about communication, writing, manual dexterity, which is Mercury, where that could be that could blend in very well, with what you're naturally proficient in, which is the South Node. And also those things can benefit, that first half of life where the South Node is generally more accentuated and emphasized. Again, I have this aspect, and I have my Mercury in Cancer making a sextile to my South Node in Virgo, and I think this actually has played, some dividends in terms of writing and communication for me, because Mercury in Cancer can be very, have a mind, connected, with the past and nostalgia. And the fact that it makes the sextile to the South Node in analytical Virgo can really be very, positive, for that, in terms of also the incorporating details into what I'm writing about. So another thing too is that Mercury sextile or trine the South Node in a natal chart may be able to really readily, analyze, which is Mercury, the natural built-in abilities, which is the South Node. Now, if the South Node, say, is in Sagittarius, as an example, those natural built-in abilities may be connected. It might have something to do with philosophy or religion. It could be being able to simply motivate others or to expand horizons, going outside the box. Could be doing something with sports or publishing or advertising, something with printing press operation, as some examples. Now, another thing too is that siblings, cousins, and neighbors, which is Mercury, may be beneficial in terms of what you're emphasizing in that first half of your life, which is the South Node. Now, let's say, if the South Node is in Taurus, as an example, you may be emphasizing in that first half of your life, maybe tied in, with monetary matters, having good financial acumen, self-reliance, accumulating possessions, resources, doing things with a lot of persistence, matters, with stability. Or it could even be, I would say, could even be a Taurus node related, field of profession, whether it could be geology or carpet laying, working as a stockbroker, a pawnbroker, doing something with banking or finance, as some examples. Now, another thing about these aspects is that the South Node, may have been beneficial and very advantageous in terms of your early education, which is Mercury. That energy, the South Node, let's say if the South Node is in Libra, it could simply be, being able to incorporate, a lot of ability to be charming, cooperative, compromising ability to negotiate, have balance, fairness, finding peace. That may have been those abilities, or even artistic abilities, may have been beneficial in terms of your early education, as an example. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Lerner saying, stay well.